we're our second week of trying to get it done. So, we're hoping that you guys and gals are enjoying it, because we've tried to expand the show a little bit at a time with our comfort zone, and we've kind of gotten to the point now where we're like, okay, we understand that we have faces for radio, but Rodney doesn't, but I do. Rodney's got a TV face, right? Oh. But we appreciate you guys and gals tuning in, listening to what's going on. Man, it's been a really good week, but we want to let you know that this segment of the show is brought to you by Blue Points Marina out at Port Canaveral, and of course, Blue Points is a great place to go check out, and there's a lot of good things happening out at the port right now. We had the Eddie Dwyer other side tournament last week. Holy cow, they caught some big fish in that thing. I think it's a new port record. It's
71 and change.
Yeah, 71 to 72 pound fish. I mean, that's a giant. I was talking with Rick Riles. Okay, and Rick Riles.
I haven't talked to Rick in a while. How's he doing?
He's been doing fantastic. And Rick, I do the Florida Sportsman. Mm-hmm. This show basically used to be the Florida Sportsman
and he does
show for East Central Florida.
My good friend Roger Walker.
Jacksonville. Yep. And then that portion of Florida Sportsman kind of died. I picked it back up, and we created Catch a Memory Outdoors.
A long time ago we started this.
Yeah, a long time, like 10 years ago or something. Yep. But we still do podcasts every week for Florida Sportsman. We do a live audio podcast that comes out on Thursday afternoon. And of course, I'd still do the fishing forecast for them every week as well. So, there's a lot that goes on, still with me and interacting with that media group. But I was talking with Rick on Monday evening, doing an audio report. And, I was telling him about this 72 pound dolphin that was caught, in this tournament this past week. And he's like, Jim, he goes, that's an absolute giant. He goes, how old do you think that fish was? And my limited knowledge of dolphin and their growth rates, I thought to myself, okay, I've heard dolphin typically grow, fast, really fast. But they don't typically live more than 5 or maybe 6 years, and then they die. They just don't live that long.
Yeah, they get eaten usually.
Yeah, and so he said, Rick wrote a lot of the Florida Sportsman books on different species of fish, or helped contribute to a lot of this. And the book on dolphin was one that he authored. And in doing research with one of the aquariums or research foundations somewhere here in the state of Florida, he was telling me that dolphin, just can grow exponentially almost.
Yeah.
As long as they've got a food source, they keep growing. And so he says, Jim, how old do you think that fish was at 70 pounds? And I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm thinking end of lifespan, 5-6 years. And he said, well, company X, I forgot what research one company said it was, or Moat Marine, or who it was. So there's a handful of them. He said they took a dolphin, a baby dolphin, and gave it unlimited food supply.
Oh, yeah.
And it grew to 70 pounds within 2 years.
I was going to say, I would say 3 years, probably, that fish.
So can you imagine?
Yeah.
I mean,
that's why they've, that's one of the species that they've been, in a sense, kind of farm raising. That and cobia and triple tail.
Yeah, another one. I was going to say cobia and triple tail have a fairly fast growth rate. Sailfish have a fairly fast growth rate.
But yeah, it's the dolphin research program.
Don Hammond was part of it, apparently.
He was. He's retired.
Okay.
The guy who handles it now is Wesley. Great guy. When I was running CFOA, we had him come and speak, and it's so interesting to hear about these fish, because there's, out of any species, offshore species, dolphin's probably the most studied species. We probably know more about that.
Well, I would say dolphin are basically akin to what a speckled trout is for an inshore fisherman. Yep. It's probably the most popular species.
Most sought after fish.
Yeah.
Correct.
So obviously a lot of research goes into it.
Eating, and it's pretty much worldwide.
Yeah.
And you pretty much find them in every ocean around.
But 2 years to grow to 70 pounds. That's
crazy?
Wow. Amazing. So anyway, I guess it's a potential new port record. Captain Jack, when Captain Jack was alive, he used to keep track of all of the port records. And I don't know who has that information now, but I'm sure somebody has picked up that ball.
The last one.
Yeah.
Who's got the record.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm sure somebody's picked up that ball and decided, hey, I'll keep these records up. And so, once again, just need to do a little more research, but I'm sure somebody that we all know probably has it.
I'd love to see a list of that. That'd be really
Well, he used to, Captain Jack in his shop used to have, the like a board that had all the records for the port listed. And it was kind of cool. So, kind of miss that place, man. That was a good place to,
Yeah, there's
go hang
really
out.
There's not like a hangout tackle shop in the port anymore.
No.
I know there's the two in there, and they're not really, it's not like, and I'm talking about tackle shop. I know we have the marinas too, obviously Sunrise Marina as well, but there's not like a place, like to me, I always envision if I had a tackle shop, you'd have the pot of coffee going first thing in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
And because guys would be coming out.
And the cooler of beer.
Yeah, and I was going to say, and then it switches to beer in the afternoon.
Yeah, or in the morning.
Yeah. Depending.
Now, honestly, when I was working at Saltwater Concepts out in Port Canaveral for Andy Knoll, and that there were people waiting at the door for you to open at 5 a.m. so they could come in and get because we always kept beer on ice.
Yeah.
In a big round vat type thing.
Yep.
Singles. And there would be people waiting at the door for you to open up so they could come in and get their morning beer, or coffee, or of course bait and everything else. But these weren't people that were necessarily going fishing that day. They were just it was a hangout. It was a place to just hang out, talk fishing, just camaraderie kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was a really neat social scenario.
I can say working at Bittersbane Tack over in Longwood was probably one of the most fun jobs I had, as far as just sitting and hanging out and talking to people about fishing.
Yeah.
That's really what it was.
Yeah, if you want to like not make a lot of money but have a really cool job, work at a tackle shop or become a fishing guide. Those two things are really cool jobs, but you are never getting rich on either of those.
No. I don't think anybody in the tackle industry in general really gets rich. We just fund our obsession.
Yeah, well, you fund the obsession. That's exactly that's what it is.
It's about it. So,
well, are you going to get a chance to get any fishing done here? Or?
Well,
I know you've been really busy with the Rapala stuff. I know.
Yeah, well, it's been weird because with all of this pandemic nonsense going on, it has affected our business pretty majorly in regards to shipping. A lot of people don't understand, and listeners here, if you're here in Florida, you're like, what's going on? Everybody's out working, everybody's mostly.
Yeah.
But when you get to some of these other states, it depends which state, there's still some lockdown and where things aren't even open. You get up to Jersey, talking to another one of the reps who was talking to the rep there in Jersey, and it's, I guess if you fly into the one airport, you still have to be quarantined for 14 days before you can even turn out the public, in a sense.
So I had a customer out the other day on a charter, and he's been here since the pandemic started. Mm-hmm. He rents a house down here.
Yeah.
In over in Kissimmee.
Okay.
And he, as soon as everything started going into lockdown,
he came down here.
He grabbed the family, packed bags, came down. He says, "I ain't going back. I'm not going back until," he says, his business is up there. He does real estate, so you can kind of do real estate from anywhere. You're working on a computer a lot. But he says, I'm not going back up there. He goes, whenever they finally decide that everything's opened and we can proceed, with caution, but, we can proceed again to basically living our lives again. He goes, then I'll go back up there. He says, until then, I'm not doing it. He says, I'm staying here.
Yeah. And it's, so Rapala in the United States is based in Minnesota. And, we were unable to open. We were closed. Our warehouse was closed for over 3 weeks. And the orders kept coming in.
Well, it's springtime. Everybody's ordering product in the spring.
Tenfold of what it normally is. So, I mean, what we have in the order book is more than we can ship in a month.
Yeah.
and that's really what's causing the problems. And not every company is having that issue because of depending on where they're based. But I'm really interested to see so the ASA, American Sport Fishing Association, they're the ones who run ICAST and whatnot. They do a lot of polls on different surveys and stuff to see, people interested in people fishing, interested in fishing, if they stay interested in fishing and whatnot. I can say, so in my parents' neighborhood alone, across the street, there's a family with a son and daughter who are high school and middle school. They have gone completely haywire, just bought a new boat, or a used boat, but bought a boat.
New to them
fishing,
boat. Yeah.
Crazy. Coming over, if they see me pulling the driver, they come over and start talking to me, want to ask questions, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Like, into it, big time.
They've got the bug.
My parents' neighbor next door, their daughter, who is in college, she goes to Rollins, and her boyfriend have all of a sudden gotten into fishing where they're walking to the ponds. They went to Crystal River because I guess he's got a flats boat, but they've been fishing in the ponds, and she's now going by herself. I don't know if she's ever had a fishing pole in her hands before this started.
So she's caught the bug.
So there's enough.
That is a great thing. I have seen that you mentioned. I've seen a lot more people out enjoying the outdoors than what we do. So many more people walking, so many more people bicycling, so many more. And of course, the boat ramp every day looks like a Saturday at the boat ramp now. I mean, it's
if you go into like a Walmart and stuff, the bike racks are empty. Anything that has gotten people outside, which I really thought it was going to be opposite. I thought kids are going to be stuck, glued to the TV, playing video games all day. But no, they've been actually getting outside.
That's a good thing.
So it's a fantastic thing. So I'm really curious to see when all this kind of comes back and things are rolling again. I'm really curious to see some surveys from ASA to see, how many people increased in the fishing kind of realm.
Well, they'll ask you, how many days do you fish a year? 1 to 10, 20, 20 to 50, 100. It'll be interesting to see not only the people that were already, say, enjoying the sport, how many more days did they partake in the sport, and how many new people entered the sport?
Well, and what I'm hoping too, because obviously the tackle shops are just killing it right now.
Yeah,
they're busy. I know you guys as charter captains are not.
No, we got crushed.
And I'm really hoping
if it came at any other time of the year, it wouldn't have been so bad. But for it to come in spring break when people are moving or moving from the northern states coming down here to do their vacationing for a week, it absolutely crushed the charter industry.
With that being said, I will say the Panhandle of Florida, usually that is a it's windows of business for those guys up in the Panhandle. It's spring break and it's summer.
Yeah.
And any other time, they are dead. Like, you go there in the wintertime, there's
nothing going on. Yeah.
No one there. They right now are seeing more business than they see in the summer. Now they're kind of at the point where they're going to make up for being closed during spring break, basically.
That's good.
It's
because you don't want to see any business suffer.
No. I just am amazed. Like, where I know a decent amount of people who are laid off and aren't working. Like, where is this coming from? Like, I mean, I'd be a little paranoid to be going and spending any money if I didn't have a job. And I mean, I know people are getting unemployment.
There's small business administration loans. There's unemployment. There's federal unemployment. I mean, I know Justin and I were talking yesterday. One of his friends got laid off, but he's getting federal. He's getting federal and state unemployment right now, and he's making more than he was making at his job. So he doesn't want to go back to his job. They called him and said, "Hey, you can come back," and he's like, "I don't want to."
That's the problem. We as a company, we had a situation like that too. We didn't let people go, but we furloughed some people, and still covered medical and everything for them, which I'm proud to say my company did that.
Yeah.
But then they don't want to go back, so it's crazy. So
gotcha.
Yeah, it's gonna be get America back to working. You're gonna have to make America work again, because I think federal aid, though, doesn't it start ending in July?
I have no idea. I don't qualify for some reason. So, Well, guys and gals, we're going to take our first break. When we come back, we got a whole lot more Catch Your Memory right after these messages.
Listening to WWBC, Cocoa, Melbourne, Titusville, 1510 AM, as well as W234BI, Cocoa, Rockledge, and W264AS, Rockledge, Melbourne, and Palm Bay, 100.7 FM.
Hi, I'm Paul. Whether you're a water sports enthusiast or just looking to bask in the sun, Boaters Exchange provides top-of-the-line boating solutions to fit your lifestyle. As a family-owned and operated dealership, you're treated like family. Stop in and talk with our friendly and knowledgeable staff, browse our vast selection of new and used inventory, and our fully stocked parts and accessories department. Boaters Exchange provides industry-leading brands including Everglades, Nautic Star, Bennington Pontoons, Yamaha jet boats, Hughes, Maverick, Pathfinder, and Cobia. We'll help you find the right boat for you and your family. From offshore to bay boats and from pontoon to flats boats, we have something for everyone. We even offer boat consignment and trade-in evaluations. Stop by one of our locations in Rockledge and New Smyrna Beach to see what we can do for you. At Boaters Exchange, we love to see you boat.
Hey, if you're like me and you want to keep your boat looking new, then protect it with Starbright Premium Marine Polish. This easy-to-apply polish uses polymers. Why? Because wax lasts about 8 weeks. Polymers last 8 to 10 months, and they're easier to apply, block UV rays better, and keep stains from sticking. You want more? Starbright Premium Marine Polish actually adds speed. Yep, that's what I said. It makes your boat faster because it moves through the water easier with less friction. Starbright Premium Marine Polish is a sealer that is safe for all fiberglass, paints, and polished metals. Got a truck or car? Use Premium Marine Polish to make it look its best, too. Wax is for candles, so use some Starbright Premium Marine Polish on your vessels today.
Getting ready to go boating is just as important as the safety precautions you take while on the water. Make sure you have your safety equipment and know how to use it. Life jacket? Check. Whistle or horn? Check. Flares? Check. Personal locator beacon? Got it. These are just a few of the items a real boater always has ready. Be prepared for the journey, regardless of your experience level. This message brought to you by the National Safe Boating Council and Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission. Learn more at
By Memory Sticks Fishing Rods. Make sure you check out one of your local retailers and pick up your Memory Sticks Fishing Rod today. You can start down at Reel 'em In Bait and Tackle in Sebastian. See Carol and the gang down there. Over at Strike Zone in Melbourne. Of course, Sunrise Marine out at Port Canaveral. We restocked them here recently, so they should have a fresh supply of Memory Sticks fishing rods. Also, Ace in Titusville just got restocked, and I'm probably going to be running up to New Smyrna Outfitters today to see Cody and the gang up in New Smyrna.
There you go.
And take them some more rods up there because they need another half a dozen or so that they've sold over the last couple of weeks. So got to get those guys restocked. So if you're looking for a great stick, get out there and check out a Memory Stick.
Everybody's fishing.
Everybody's fishing, yeah. Give us a call. Hey, we forgot to throw the phone lines out here for your Blakemore Real Magic Studio right here in Cocoa at WWBC. Give us a call here at the Blakemore Real Magic Studio at 321-632-1000. That's 632-1000. We'd love to hear if you guys and gals have been out fishing this week. It's been a frustrating week for me.
Oh,
Monday I had to cancel because it rained all day.
Oh, I know the weather.
It was horrible.
It's like we went straight to summer weather.
Yeah, Tuesday
weird.
It was still too rough offshore, so I had to reschedule Tuesday to tomorrow, which hopefully I can get that run. Wednesday had to reschedule. Thursday, I told the guys for Thursday they're local, and I told them, I said, look, on Wednesday I was out doing a shuttle launch, taking a family out to watch not shuttle launch, but a SpaceX launch in the afternoon. The water in the lagoon system is up at least 12 inches with all the rain we've had, maybe more. And I didn't see, just in the hour and a half time frame that we were out on the water, I didn't see much in the way of bait. I didn't see birds working. Everything was just kind of sitting. Now, it may have just been the way that the time of day was, the moon phase, whatever it happens to be at that particular time of day. But I didn't feel comfortable taking those guys out first thing in the morning after we'd had 6 or 7 inches of rain in the previous 4 days, because it shuffles the fish around. It moves them a lot. It'll be interesting. Captain Justin's out this morning. It'll be interesting to see how he does in the flats.
Is he in a lagoon or is he in a river?
He's fishing the banana today.
Okay. I know Troy. I talked to Whitmire, and Troy, I guess, has been on fish pretty good in the river. But
yeah, well,
that's
good to hear. Yeah, it definitely shook things up because the water was low and very salty. and the fish were holding in very specific locations, and with 12 inches of rainwater now covering the entire lagoon. It's going to shuffle them around, so it'd be interesting to see what happens. But I didn't really get very many reports. I didn't talk to Troy, but I called a couple of other people, and nobody was really fishing. Nobody was really out, or the people that were out really hadn't found a pattern yet.
I'll tell you what I've been seeing a lot of reports of lately, everywhere throughout the whole state, is snook. Holy cow!
Yeah, a lot of snook.
I feel like everybody's snook fishing. So, I mean, I know that's a species a lot of guys are going to target because they can harvest them too.
Yeah. Well, for a couple more days.
Yeah, exactly.
Another day.
Yeah, I know. So, but I found that interesting. So there's a lot of people snook fishing.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to just get out. It's been a week now. So I ribbon fished one day last week, but I didn't get out at all this week. I was just kind of stuck at home most of the week because of the weather mainly.
Yeah.
I wanted to try to get out and do some ribbon fishing a couple nights, and it's just like storms every afternoon already. It's like summer.
It is. We went from a desert to a swamp overnight. Right? I mean, it's
crazy.
Two tropical storms named already.
I know.
And we haven't even gotten to storm season.
We're not even in it yet.
It doesn't even start till tomorrow or the next day. So it's one of those things where it's kind of interesting. So we're sitting here playing with some new Suffix fluorocarbon leader material.
Yeah, some new. This is just the proto. I don't want to say prototype. It's not a prototype because it's just a.
Well, it's a proven technology. It's just, this is a new size.
We're basically taking our advanced fluorocarbon and we're messing around with some leader material out of it. So this is just basically some larger sizes. So we're just playing around with it a little bit and see where we go with it. So, but it should be pretty good. I haven't messed with it much. This is just the first kind of shot at it, so I'd like to get out and fish it a little
Definitely
bit.
not production run stuff.
No. So, but I like the clarity on it. I like the color of it and everything. It looks pretty good. So it's just kind of seeing. We do with some of our line, not all Suffix line, but we do what we call G2 winding, which is on our premium monofilaments. And basically what it is, if you see a spool line, a normal spool line, it's just spooled on there kind of, in a sense, I don't want to say recklessly, but it is a little bit. It's back and forth. It's the G2 winding is the line goes right on top of each other, like dead even.
Yeah, congruent.
Yep, so it's stacked on top of each other. And when you do that, you get a much better packed line. Comes off, it's smoother.
Comes off the spool much better.
Beautifully. But that is it's a slower process, and it's an expensive process, especially when you get into bigger diameters. It'd basically be impossible to do on a leader material spool, in that sense. Without doing major renovations to machines and whatnot. But it's an interesting thing with line. There's a lot of line companies out there now. That have just kind of popped up out of nowhere that make good stuff, and fluorocarbon being one. There's only a couple factories that make fluorocarbon, and we actually are one of them now. We actually make this. This is a process that we design and make on the advanced fluorocarbon. It's a gel process, so it's unique compared to any of the other fluorocarbons out there.
Yeah, it's an extruded gel.
Yep, exactly. So it's pretty interesting. I'm kind of excited. It'll be a little while before we see anything production on this.
Right.
Well,
at least you got some prototypes to mess with, and you can kind of give some feedback.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to need your help on some of it too.
Well, I'll take this 60 right here and see if I can go put it in a tarpon mouth. That's for sure.
Do it.
That would be a good thing. Or red snapper mouth. They were firing off yesterday.
They're firing off
every day.
They're always on fire.
King mackerel bite was good yesterday too.
I know, you're killing me, man. I was looking and I was going to make some phone calls to see about some reports, but I knew I really couldn't fish because of coming into the show today. But I may holler at a buddy of mine who's going to go ribbon fishing. I might say, hey, get over here a little early. Let's run out to the reef real quick, catch our forward, come back.
So yesterday morning, as an example, the bite, and this morning too. I was out in the backyard, right as the sun was just barely starting to creep up in the sky, and just enough light that you could see from one side of the yard to the other, basically. and the bass in my pond were, all I could hear was explosions out there. They were blowing up this morning. So there's a pretty good bite going on this morning from what I can tell. And yesterday morning was the same way. I just, met my people at the dock, and we grabbed a 5-pound box of cigar minnows, and I ran around just a little bit in the bite looking for some bait. I didn't really see any. There's a lot of fry right now. There's a bunch of little bullet bonitas, and a bunch of fry in along the beaches. Saw some manta rays yesterday. So that was an interesting thing to be able to see. So we chased a couple of them around. Justin saw a couple on his. Didn't have anything on them though. Not sure why, but we just never saw any cobia on any of them. But we were able to stay with them for quite a good long time. I mean,
get a good look at them.
We had one pair. It looks like they're mating. They're doing that they're playing tag, circling and running around, and one chasing the other one kind of thing. And make a long story short, we were able to stay with one set of them for probably close to 5 minutes, where they just didn't go down. They just stayed up, so we could still see them. Water's still a little dirty inshore, north of the tip of the Cape. South, it's cleaned up a little bit better.
How's it in the buoy line?
It was pretty good yesterday. Okay. And with all of the fry that's in there, you got the little fries and glass minnows. I saw a lot of bumper around the tip of the Cape. I saw a lot of baby bonitas, all from the reef all the way in. There were baby bonitas eating fry. So, I wouldn't be surprised if there's not some king mackerel in on the beach as well, with that cleaner water to the south. Especially down at Sebastian.
Like I told you, it's been about a month now, but we actually caught some in the port. So there's fish around, but pokies disappearing has not helped.
No.
So
no.
I don't know
anytime we get a lot of rain, I mean the bait goes.
It's been gone for
weeks. Mitch Roffer made a comment the other day that he hasn't seen any bait behind his house in Melbourne Beach all week. Well, we've had rain all week. We've had beach renourishment washing into the water, into the ocean water, all week. Yeah. So guess what?
Yeah.
The bait does not like that stuff that they pump up on the beach at all.
I'm really interested. There's a new tournament kind of, coming up. We need to take a break.
In a minute.
It's based out of St. Augustine, and I like this concept. And it's Dozer.
Yeah.
He's the one running it.
Yep.
It's called Old School King Mackerel Tournament, and it's basically from Fernandina Inlet, the South Jetty of Fernandina Inlet, which is weird that it's the South Jetty, to the South Jetty of
that's the state
Ponce
line.
Inlet. True.
Yeah.
To the South Jetty of Ponce Inlet. And basically the rules are you have to stay within state waters 3 miles of the beach.
Okay.
And you are not allowed to buy bait as far as live bait.
Okay.
You can't pin up bait days before. You can't run outside of state waters to catch bait and come back in. So you have to catch your bait in the 3 miles or in the inlet, and you can use ribbon fish. You can bring ribbon fish with you. But it's a 1-day tournament, and I think we're going to end up fishing it.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Up out of Ponce. So it's going to be interesting. I don't fish north of Ponce very often. So, there's not a whole lot.
Outside of St. Augustine, you got the captain's house, you've got the desert,
all that stuff way up there. But I'm going to stay to the south probably. I don't think there's fish up there.
We've caught some good fish at Matanzas.
I know,
before.
You have that little, basically it's like a drop off Matanzas.
Yeah.
It stays pretty shallow and then it drops pretty quick, and that's a really good area to catch some fish.
Yep. Especially on an outgoing tide, because you've got bait, bait kind of coming out too.
So it's going to be interesting because it's the 13th, so it's in 2 weeks from today. So it's a little early to be beach fishing up north. It's going to be curious if those fish
they've moved in that far,
because they haven't shown up on the beach yet up there at all.
Even though they've got plenty of bait up there, or
they got
had.
Some, I haven't talked to them about bait in a while.
Yeah, the pogies were up there. Rick Riles was once again. Rick was saying something about a couple of weeks ago about pogies on the beach there between St. Augustine and Jacksonville, and he goes, "Man, it's really early for them to be here." But I just hope we get some more bait here. There's been some greenies and pilchards and things like that. Yesterday, Justin jigged up a couple of those and was kind of snook fishing along the beach. Really wasn't having much luck, so they ran out to the reef and just dropped them down and just pulled on red snapper. So gave the customers some. Actually, I lost a couple. He says we got crushed by a couple of big ones.
He really likes doing that.
He does.
He likes that red snapper fishing on that reef because he was probably fishing.
Well, it's hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
he was fishing that man-made reef stuff, right?
Yeah,
he likes that.
You put down. I mean, you put down a pogie or a pilchard or a greenie, and free line it down there. There's only a couple of things that are going to happen.
Yeah,
it's either going to be a red snapper, a king mackerel, or a bonita or a shark.
Yeah,
you know, and all of those things pull hard, and especially the snappers, because most of the red snapper, when you're live baiting compared to dead baiting, you stop catching 5 to 10 pounders. You don't catch those fish very much anymore.
Yep.
You catch 10 to 25 pounders. So, and you know, customers are like, "Hey, we want to pull on something big." JJ is like,
"Let's do it.
I got it. Let's go do this."
We need to get JJ on another boat and take him grouper fishing once.
Yeah,
that'd be fun. I'd like to see him pull on a grouper.
Hey guys and gals, we're going to be right back Facebook Live this morning. We appreciate y'all tuning in. I probably should be checking in to see what's going on. I'm sure people are commenting, and we can comment back. But Captain Jim Ross and Captain Rodney Sahr in the studio with you this morning right here in our Blake Mormon Magic Studios. 321-632-1000 is the call-in. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. This segment of Catch Your Memory Outdoors is brought to you by Strike Zone down in Melbourne. If you stop down at Strike Zone, you're going to find a completely stocked store with all of the great product that's going to get you out there to catch all the fish that you're looking to catch. The great thing about Strike Zone is that, you know, you talk to those guys, they fish.
Yeah,
they know what you need. They know what color the fish are hitting this week. They know what size you need to be throwing. They know how to, you know, tie the knots. They know how to do all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's, you know, if you're looking for a great place to go buy your tackle, Strike Zone is definitely one you should look at.
It's like a candy store.
Yeah. Well, let's check out the fishing and boating conditions.
It's just going to make me jealous.
Oh, winds are south or southeast this morning?
Oof, winds.
Yeah.
They were southeast when I looked at it. It's not. We didn't write it down.
I didn't write it down.
It was southeast. It'll give me 2 seconds and I'll have it here. But we've got 5 to 10 knots, becoming 10 to 15 in the afternoon. Seas 3 to 4 feet on a dominant period of 8 seconds. So that's pretty darn good. And yes, we do have south winds. It is south. Yeah. So that's not bad. You know, it's pushing, you know, the 3 to 4 in 8 seconds is pushing it for a little boat, but it's definitely still doable.
Yeah, yesterday I chugged out at about 17 or 18 mile an hour because I was kind of running straight into it. It was coming from the east.
Time a little bit.
Yeah, you just you know, with a bay boat, you try and get more speed than that. You want to, but you try and get more speed than that, and you start launching. Because bay boats are designed to get on plane quick, and so you know, they do.
Water temperature is 79 degrees. This is at the 4 mile buoy. Seas 2 feet on a period of 8 seconds, so real pretty up close. 20 mile buoy, 78 degrees. Seas 3 foot on 8 seconds. 6 mile weather buoy. We've got, this is out of Fort Pierce. Water temperature of 80 degrees. Seas 3 foot in period 7 seconds. Temperature at Cocoa Beach. Surf temperature is 78 degrees. Sebastian 81. And Fort Pierce 78. That's interesting. Western edge of the Gulf Stream is currently 28 nautical miles out of Port Canaveral. It's close today.
Yeah.
19 miles of Sebastian.
Which is even
and
closer.
11 out of Fort Pierce. Yep. You'll be fishing the edge of the stream real quick. Tides out of Canaveral. We've got a low tide at 8:41 a.m. High tide at 2:52 p.m. Sebastian Inlet got a low tide at 8:47 a.m. High tide at 2:57 p.m. Fort Pierce, we've got a low tide at 8:53 a.m. and a high tide at 3:14 p.m. And that's interesting with the stream. 28 nautical miles, so you're looking about the 28. You're looking about the cones, right?
Yeah, 28. You're in between 27 fathom and the cones.
I was going to say that's a little inside of the cones straight out.
Yeah.
So that means the current's ripping on the cones.
But what I noticed was that 19 miles for Sebastian, that's really close because typically that is about 22-ish to 23-ish miles.
Yep.
And so, I mean, that should, with the stream being that close at Sebastian, that should, for this next coming week, that should give us a good push of clean water coming up the beach from Sebastian through to Canaveral.
Yep.
And if like we were mentioning in the last segment, if the kingfish aren't on the beach yet, it won't be long because the fish that we caught yesterday, we had 5 females and 1 male, and the male was actually a big male. I mean, I was surprised at how big it was for a male. just
All row.
all rode up.
Yep.
All rode up. So this next moon, they're going to be ready to spawn.
They're going to be.
So they'll
yeah.
probably move to the beach to do that, I would imagine.
Usually it's about this time of year.
Yep.
So usually when I get a good push of nice kingfish on the beach. So cool. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Anytime
be-
that you can catch, get that big smoker off the beach,
Oh,
it's
it's
nice.
just so much fun, man.
Yeah.
You can just go out there and just have a fun day. I mean, and I will say, I've never been big on eating kingfish, but I will say I took some of the grills about a month and a half ago and had them, they fixed them for me fresh.
Yeah.
Oof, that was good.
I eat kingfish all the time.
That was good.
It's yeah.
So, I mean, it's one of those things, man. You don't want to freeze it, so don't keep a bunch of them. You don't need to.
No.
I mean, one 15-pounder will feed a lot of people. There's a lot of meat on a kingfish.
Yeah.
So, but so
No, I enjoy kingfish. Grilled is that's in my opinion that's the only way to eat it other than smoked.
I've had it
You could fry the
different
small
ways.
ones.
Yeah, at Rusty's is done. They'll do that. What is it called? Parmesan crusted, I think is what it is. That's pretty darn good too. And then they do it in a Cajun style too, which is pretty good, like a Cajun fry, or that's pretty good too. So,
Yep. I like a sort of a Cajun fry myself.
Oh, I use that that breading.
Did you find it?
Said, yeah, I found it and I got it. We used it on chicken. I had made some fish with it too, and I had made some chicken at the same time. It was so good on the chicken. We made more chicken, like chicken tenders for the kids.
Yeah.
Oh man, they loved it. Loved it. So.
Yeah, it's House Autry medium hot breader.
Yeah. Oh, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
My girlfriend liked it so much she went and bought some
It's
too.
it's spicy enough for most people that they enjoy it, but it's
Yeah.
not too spicy that
it's
don't enjoy it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's enough for someone who doesn't like spicy. They still are good with it,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like kids and stuff are still good with it.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, I was pleasantly surprised yesterday that we talked about, the kingfish bite, because really nobody's really been out. Nobody's been out at all. It's, we had the other side tournament and everybody went and got some tuna and some dolphin, a couple of wahoos and things, but nobody's really
I feel
been
like
kingfishing.
all the charter guys this year, all they're doing is the guys who can tuna fish are tuna fishing.
Yeah.
And all the other guys have been bottom fishing. Little bit of trolling for dolphin. No one's been king fishing.
No.
It's been, it's like, I guess fuel's a lot cheaper.
Fuel's cheaper, so they're not
And
afraid to push past
Yep.
AA,
And it's, but it's like, I'm used to seeing all these kingfish reports all the time, and it's just like, man, no one's kingfishing. Which,
Well, and who was I talking with? I was talking with somebody the other day. I don't remember if it was Greg Rapp or somebody I was talking with. I forgot. One of the captains out of the port, and they tried to go bottom fish or try to go do some deeper, some 600 to 800 foot, some tile fishing, some yellow edge grouper, electric deep dropping, and they said that the current. I know who it was. It was Bryson Wright. They were trying to deep drop for
Snowies, mystics.
Yeah, that kind of thing. So the current was pretty heavy the other day, and they pushed out and tried to do some swordfishing, and they said they dropped 20 pounds, and they had 3,000 feet of line out and still hadn't touched bottom with 20 pounds
that's
of
when
lead.
it stopped. And
So he's just like, this isn't going to happen. There was a lot of current running, apparently, last week when guys were trying to do that, at least where he was. He was off of Fort Pierce or Sebastian.
That's the problem with deep dropping is you can go out there and you can't fish.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem. Like, even bottom fishing, man, you run out to, there's days on the 27 or the cones, even the 21, where it's just, you can't fish. That's the only frustrating thing when you run all the way out there, burn the fuel, and then you can't even do anything there.
Right.
So it's just, turn around, go back, do
And see, like
different.
the current yesterday on 8A was negligible.
Yeah.
I mean, there was virtually no drift at all.
I want to go fish a couple of near shore stuff for some flounder. I want to see if there's any flounder around.
There's flounder around. We're going to talk about flounder when we come back from this next break. How's that
talk
sound?
during the break.
Yeah, we can talk during the break too.
Sorry, listeners.
Hey guys and gals, we're going to be right back with more Catching Memory Outdoors right after these messages, so don't go away. This segment of the show is brought to you by the group from Anytime, and I've been talking about the Anytime No Bite. If you guys and gals are looking for a great product to keep the no-see-ums off of you and the mosquitoes off of you.
Ooh, that stuff works good.
It does, doesn't it?
That's the only thing I've found that has really helped with no-see-ums.
Yeah, I really like it.
Yeah.
It has a unique smell to it, but they're changing
Better.
they're changing the smell formula apparently. So
Better than meat.
yeah, way better
Way
than
better than
because it's all natural. So Anytime No Bite, we appreciate those guys and gals. Hey, you know what? We're going to do the Captain Justin's Rapala Pick of the Week right now. So Captain Justin's on the line. He's out on the water this morning. Good morning, Justin.
Good morning, guys. What's going on?
Doing the show.
Just hanging out in there. It sounded like you had Rodney in there with you.
Rodney is me and
That'd be
Rodney
me.
holding down the fort.
So
Gotcha. Well, we're out here doing a little topwater action this morning. This little bit of wind chop is really helping us out. We got some nice fish in the boat already.
Yep. What flavor?
We're throwing the skitter walk, and we got the blue back with some black spots like a trout. And then, what color are you throwing, Brandon? When he reels it back up, I'll let you know. But today I wanted to talk about the X-Rap. Oh, there's a fish right there. The X-Rap 14. And, that's a good fish. Pulling some drag. Of course. So I've been out fishing some of the reefs lately, and the water's been super, super clear. Hold on, I gotta unhook a fish real quick. Actually, well, I can't really get a picture of him right now. Sorry. So I've been fishing the reefs out there, and the water's been super clear. So what I've been doing is I've been having my guys drop down and try and catch snapper and stuff like that. And then, oh, go away, Mr. Dolphin. We got another fish on.
dang,
Bite's hot this morning.
Yeah, and they're all nice sized fish. Unfortunately, we have the dolphins patrolling us as well.
Ugh.
They've been a pain. They already blew out one of the spots I was fishing.
So you've been using the X-Rap 14s out on the reef.
Yeah, and just throwing them as my guys are dropping down with live baits. I've been throwing those X-Trap 14s and just kind of pulling them across the top, and I've been getting, kingfish and barracudas and stuff to come up and swing at them, and we've been getting hooked up like that. And then I'll, trade rods with someone and they'll fight the fish in, and I'll just hold their bottom rod, and then we'll swap back once they get that fish in. Gotcha.
Well, that sounds like a fun time. That X-Rap 14 is a great plug.
It's a lot of fun to throw.
Yep. And I've been throwing the blue backs with black stripes on it.
The blue mackerel, yeah.
Blue mackerel,
okay.
Yep.
Nice. Cool. Well, Bud, it sounds like you got your hands full there with doubled up on trout on the top water on the skitter walks. But if somebody's trying to get a hold of you, how can they get a hold of you?
They can give me a call at 321-505-8217 or go online to finelinefishingcharters.com.
Fantastic. Appreciate the call in this morning and appreciate your Rapala Pick of the Week, and we'll talk to you a little later. Keep catching those fish.
Sounds good. Y'all have a good show.
All righty. Bye-bye now. Pretty cool stuff.
Man, I'll tell you what. It's so much fun to hook king mackerel and stuff like that on artificial. So much fun. So
I'm going to take a picture of the product that he was talking about and then put it up on the Facebook feed so that we can see exactly what Justin was talking about. But the entire X-Rap line is a great line, but that 14 is the biggest of the bunch right now. And
that was a freshwater lure that became a saltwater lure.
Interesting.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. And it's been a good saltwater. I mean, it's one of my go-tos.
I would say that's probably one of the top saltwater lures in the state of Florida.
Yeah, it's one of my go-tos.
The SXR. And olive green has been like the most popular color, but it's actually there's been a lot of other colors that have come out that have really kind of jumped not over the olive green, but there's a lot of other colors that people are really.
Oh yeah, the hothead works really good too.
I
the
love
glass
Hothead
ghost,
Sebastian,
yeah,
glass ghost, the Menhaden color, all that, man. So
and now we've got the new pinfish color,
yep,
the new pilchard color, and the new mullet color.
and I'm working on trying to get those in the skitter walks.
Ooh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
That would be really awesome.
Can't do the same kind of colors because of the materials,
Right.
but we're going to do something.
Well, very cool. Well, let's go back to the phone lines as we got Greg on the line this morning. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
We're doing good, buddy.
Cool. I was thumbing through Facebook and I saw you on Facebook Live, so I said, you know what? Let me see if they want to change it up and talk a little bit about hunting, maybe.
Well, you had a pretty good season this year.
Actually, it wasn't all that great.
Well,
I saw a ton of deer, but nothing was really spectacular. I think I got one doe just to fill the freezer, and
let's just
turkeys
okay. So let's say
up,
Hannah
but-
had a good year this year.
yeah, exactly.
I'm posting your picture right now on our Facebook Live, Greg.
Oh, cool. But I wanted to congratulate you,
I can't.
Jim, on a nice turkey. That was
Oh,
awesome.
thank you. Yep, my buddy Jody
That was really
Calderon
cool.
invited me over, and I was really nice of him to do that. They've got sometimes you go over there and you go look around and there's not much to see, and other days it's like a petting zoo. And so
Yeah.
I was fortunate enough. I leaned up against an oak tree right there by the cypress head, and they came. Did a little purring and clucking, and old Mr. Tom came running around the corner, and we gave him jelly neck.
That's awesome. Very cool. Anyhow, the reason why I called is I did something different this year. I went ahead and put out a couple of barrel feeders and put some cellular cameras on them, and there's two different things that I'm noticing already that's really, really cool. One is about 6 weeks ago, one of the bucks started popping their antlers through, and now they're about 6 or 7 inches tall.
Nice.
So I haven't fed this early before, so it's kind of neat. And the neatest thing is over at one of the other. Go ahead.
I was
Sorry.
going to say, are you switching to protein? Are you throwing protein for them, or
I'm
just straight
throwing
corn?
Straight corn.
Okay.
And they're coming from everywhere, and there's no rhyme or reason to the time of day. I take my lunch break at work, and there'll be 4 deer at the feeder. It's crazy. It is crazy. Yeah, and I'm hoping that we can keep them in there, at least through bow season. So
Well, I was going to say, if you mix the corn and throw some protein pellets in there, that'll make their antlers grow that much better. They'll give them the additional nutrition they need to get them growing even bigger.
You know what? I think I'll take a few bags up. I'm going this next weekend to fill the feeders up again and change out batteries, so I will definitely do that. But at one of my other locations, I've been watching this one doe, and she seems to be going in there more than the rest. Well, she is about ready to pop.
Good deal.
So
There's a
we need
picture
to
of
have
that
some
doe on
little
our
fawns
Facebook page.
on camera here in I'd say within a week. I mean, she's starting her back starting to sag, like it's crazy, but they're it's
You can
really
definitely
cool.
tell.
I mean, the off season, as you know, Jim, if you're not fishing a lot, which you probably are, but I'm not, it can take forever. But being able to see what's going on up there and be here in Florida is really cool. So
Yeah.
anyway,
It got more people joining in on the Facebook feed. We appreciate you guys and gals tuning in and watching us every Saturday morning. We're going to try and keep this thing a little more interesting and get you some more background to look at and some other things, so you're not just looking at talking heads. But don't
look at us.
It's an interesting experiment that we're doing here with Facebook Live. One of the things that I found in the past in the early season is that a lot of those bachelor groups of bucks, like you say, they come out at the weirdest times, like in the middle of the day, the afternoon, and then as we start to get into the woods more and check our feeders and check our stands and do this, I think we actually change their behavior. When we're not there, they just do what they do. But when we start coming in there and trying to get ourselves ready for a bow hunt or a gun hunt, we start changing their behavior and their patterns throughout the day. So it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see with your cameras, shooting those whenever, I guess they're motion activated, and whenever one steps in front, it just sends you a picture of what just stepped in front of the camera via the cell phone.
Correct.
So it'd be interesting to see as you interact more with your, going into the woods, how they respond to that.
Right. And, when you go out hunting, you typically get there, before daylight, and the morning hunt, you hunt till 10 or 11. Well, there's a good chance those deer have always been coming out in the middle of the day. I'm just not there to see them when I'm up there hunting. So,
well, now that you've got, a live, feed basically coming to your phone.
You set a pattern.
You can figure out, well, do I need to sleep in, eat some eggs and bacon, and then go get in the stand at 10 o'clock,
Yeah, exactly. So it's just interesting, and I think the sooner this all occurred for us, I was already up there turkey hunting. Might as well go ahead and set it up. And, if you got a large enough feeder in the off season, you're not going up there every 2 weeks like you do during hunting. So you can check it and change batteries. And,
right.
I got 250 pounds of corn out. It'll take, months and months for all that to be gone with it broadcasting, twice a day.
Until the raccoons and squirrels find it. And then it's gone.
Oh, man, I need to find somebody that wants to go up there and take care of some raccoons, because it is ridiculous. I'll have 10 or 12 of them in there every single night.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And they'll sit
anyway,
there and sit there and just scoop corn and scoop corn and scoop corn. They'll drain a feeder in no time.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That's funny.
All right, well, it's great talking to you guys.
All right, Greg. Well,
talk to you later, bro.
Thanks for the call this morning, and we look to hear back from you about your continued adventures with your cell phone pictures.
Awesome.
Thanks, buddy.
Man. See you, Rodney. All right, guys. Bye.
Hey, gang, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we got a whole lot more catching memories, so don't go away. We're going to be right back after these messages. If you're looking for a great place to keep your boat, if you don't want a trailer, you don't have, you live in an HOA, whatever it happens to be, you don't have the opportunity to keep your boat at your location, at your house, and you don't want to put it in some kind of a storage lot somewhere, then check out a place like Blue Points Marina. And one of the best things that I recommend to people to do is go down there, Rodney. You've been working out of Blue Points forever. Just go down on a Saturday morning and just kind of hang out for an hour, from 6 to 7, 7 to 8, and just watch their operation. They do a fantastic job, and you guys and gals will be really impressed if you get a chance to go check out Blue Points Marina as well.
It's definitely top-notch customer service, just clean facilities. They do a really good job there, really good job. And it just makes it easy. When you leave, you're done. You're not going back, driving home, and then having to clean the boat. They put it on the wash rack. You clean it right there. You're good to go. I mean, it just makes it really nice. So, for sure.
Hey, we've got some other new product here that you brought in this morning, and obviously the camera's a little far away for everybody to see it. But so VMC came out with a bladed treble hook.
The bladed hybrid treble on the freshwater side. As soon as I saw it, I'm like, I need one for saltwater. For God's sakes.
So this is really interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how the fish respond to this.
I'm curious too. I'm curious if it's going to just be that little bit extra, especially for. To me, I see this being a big king mackerel and a nighttime snook edition. I really think adding this to a bait like an X-Rap 14, an SXR 14.
Yeah.
Especially if the water's a little dirty.
Or at Ponce Inlet, you would be throwing that.
A little bit dirty. I think this is going to be a really good addition.
So what it is, it's a treble hook, and it's got a blade hanging off the bottom of it, a little willow leaf blade. And it comes out of the very center of the base of the hook.
Correct.
The three out of the in between the three points on the treble hook. It's got a little spinner in there, and comes in sizes from looks like 4 to about 2
it's not.
Something.
This is beginning.
These are all just
messing with it.
prototypes.
Yeah, this is blade size one. I mean, we've got all the patents on it already. This is our kind of innovation in a sense.
Yeah,
and it's just taking it to the saltwater side. So we're messing around. Gonna see what how some of the lures react with this on it as well, if it changes the action at all. So we're going to be playing around with it for sure.
Well, it's definitely an interesting concept. I would think for skittering type baits, like the long cast shallow, or even for popping type baits, like the Williamson jet head poppers or something like that.
For the new popper, the new Rapala Explode.
Oh, they explode?
This thing is going to be...
Well, because you pop, and then when it's sitting, that bait is still sort of moving.
Oh, yeah.
And so the blade can then continue to create an action or a movement within the lure.
Yep.
And so fish that are looking at coming up from the bottom, maybe not, yes, coming from the side or coming from behind, yes, but I'm thinking in particular fish coming from the bottom, fishing with a top water, they're always looking at a silhouette.
Yep.
This is going to give more action and more flash to that silhouette. And I think this is going to be a big deal.
Oh yeah.
We just need to we need to go take it and you need to get more prototypes so we can go put it on some of our plugs and give it a try.
Let's go.
But that's a neat concept. With that willow leaf blade hanging out the back underside of the treble hook. So interesting, very interesting.
We've got some really cool things coming out. And I know you've got an electronic copy of the new catalog, and some of the stuff we're not going to see in stores till probably next year. But we've got some really neat stuff. And one of the projects that was on there that you actually helped me with was our new. It's the extra wide gap circle hook with the bait holder basically on it.
Oh, very cool.
And
so that one got approved.
It got approved, and it'll be running to production. So for it's your tarpon hook. And down south,
do I get my name put on the package?
That might hurt sales.
That probably would. Yeah, you're right about that. Yeah, they probably go, no, we're not buying that one.
But I think you helped me with that. Mike Weinhofer down in the Keys was a big help with that. I think I even had Glenn Austin trying out a few, and I know I used quite a few. The hook that I really like to use, and I wanted in, we didn't do yet, and that's my favorite snook hook is the I'm forget the name. Holy cow! The Sure Set circle hook.
Okay,
that's my favorite snook circle hook.
Okay,
to use.
In a 4/0 or something.
4/0, 5/0, and I use it for other stuff too in the smaller sizes. I like it for flounder as well.
That's a good flounder hook. Yes, it is.
And I had some of those with that little thing on it as well.
That's actually a great hook for black drum as well, because you can use a smaller sized wire hook, which penetrates well, but that particular, the Sure Set hook, has a wide enough gap that it'll get around a bigger black drum's lips, and properly get in there, because a lot of the smaller ones, that'll hook onto a snook or onto a redfish or onto a trout, they won't quite get onto a black drum's jaw. It's kind of like I put black drum not quite in the tarpon category, but as far as needing the extra width between the point and the hook shank, that particular area,
just to get around the jaw, is that's critical. That's whether that's a hookup versus a missed fish is what that turns into, and so that little hook is a pretty neat little hook, especially if I'm, like I said, black drum, really, that's a good hook for them. And I just put a fish bite on it most of the time. It's surprising how good those things work. I know you catch the crap out of black drum on the fish bites. I messed around with it a little bit. I was curious if a ribbon fish would eat it. I think I caught one on it last year, but I couldn't really get them to eat it. I kind of thought they might tear that up, but for some reason they didn't. No,
not quite. But, well, that's kind of interesting, because a lot of times you're using squid strips or something for them.
Shrimp. Yeah, I usually use shrimp. Yeah. It was weird. I thought for sure they'd eat it, but no. So,
you don't use rattle traps for them?
I do that too, yeah. I usually use both.
A lot of times some kind of a small vibrating.
Yeah, like an itty bitty X-Wrap or anything like that works.
Or one of the ultralight, ultralight Rapalas.
I actually brought one of the new Vibes.
In the box?
No, I'll go get it next break, and it's in the truck. But I don't know if you've seen those, but it's a unique lure. It's meant for freshwater. It's a big.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's a lipless. It's a lipless.
It won't be in that one. It won't be in that catalog.
But I was looking in here, the ultralight version.
Oh yeah, those all would work. It's like a rattle trap that's meant for jigging as well.
The one I was thinking of was an ultralight. Yeah, ultralight rippin' wrap.
The rippin' wrap, yeah.
I was thinking that would be a really good ribbon fish rig.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, they pretty much eat everything. Those things are voracious, man. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I remember a couple years ago, the mullet runs kind of started early, and there's still a bunch of ribbon fish in the port. And you're seeing 8-inch mullet get ripped in half by a ribbon fish. It's like, man, I mean,
they got some serious chompers.
Yeah, they do. And they just hit that thing, and I mean, it's like a clean cut, like right through that
yeah,
mullet.
like a barracuda ate it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, jeez.
Yeah.
I don't want to put my hands in the water. I lose a finger. Because they're mean, man. You drop. If one comes off the hook in the boat, it's not like a typical fish that just flops. Those things actually lunge towards you.
Oh yeah,
they actually come at you.
The other thing that's interesting? There's only a few fish that I've ever seen do this, but sailfish can kind of do it. But ribbon fish can actually swim backwards.
Oh yeah, yep.
And so when you're trying to get them out of the water,
their head will be out of the water and they're staring.
Yeah,
at
their
you.
head's out of the water, and you think you've got them, and they're going backwards on you. And sometimes they'll actually take drag on you.
When you get those big ones in the lagoon,
yeah.
I mean, whew. I mean, you talk about a fun fish to catch. Those big, I'm talking those big 4-footers.
Yeah.
And you hook them on any type of plug they eat, and oh my gosh, they're peeling drag off of a reel as smooth as can be. As smooth as they pull drag smooth. It's not like a lunge. It's a zzz, and it's fast. Them things will move in the water.
They're pretty quick.
So,
they're pretty quick. Yeah. Well, good morning to all our new listeners or new viewers. We've got we got a whole bunch of people on here. Cliff's on, Mike's on, Joe's on, Captain Mark's on. Yeah. Yep. Good group of people watching this morning, so we appreciate y'all tuning in. We're talking about some of the new products from Rapala here because Rodney's got a couple of the new prototypes and some new things that are actually coming out. One of the things that I really liked was that bladed swim bait hook that you let me use.
Oh, right?
Yeah.
Sweet.
That and cobia, let me tell you something. Cobia eat that thing. Speaking of cobia, yesterday I'm fighting with a kingfish in the fish box trying to get the hooks back out of it, and
one swam up.
And well, one of my guys is on the bow, and he says, "Hey, there's a shark swimming around the boat."
I love that. There's a shark.
Yeah, and I'm down, elbows deep trying to get this kingfish rig back out of this fish that's in the fish box so we can, get back to fishing again. Well, of course, I pop up and I'm looking around and I'm going, okay, where is it? Where is it? And he's like, oh, he went under the boat. And I was thinking to myself, that might have been a shark. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But that was probably a cobia. I said, how big was it? He goes, oh, it was a big one. And I'm like, of course it was. When I'm not paying attention, of course the big one swims by, So well, I think we may have missed a cobia yesterday.
Man, I've got in regards
and they're
to sharks,
just how they are. That's just how those fish are. They always know you're preoccupied doing something else.
I can't tell you how many seminars I've done, and I tell people, kingfish seminars, not even talking about cobia, talking kingfish. And I'm like, make sure you have 2 rods ready. You have a jig rod, and if you're fishing live bait, you have a single, and I don't like circle hooks on cobia. I don't. Yeah. A single J hook or a single hook rig for a live bait. And you make sure those in a place where they're going to be. I always tell people on my boat, it's the first if I turn around to my left,
it's right there.
My first rod right there is always a bucktail jig. Cobia bucktail jig, and that's always, all the time. Don't touch this rod. Because if you are not ready when a cobia swims up, you may get 30 seconds tops.
No, this was
or less.
This was like 3 seconds,
right? And if you're not ready, you will miss it. I can't tell you how many times I've had people tell me, "Oh man, we were out and we were fishing and a cobia swam up, and by the time we tied a jig on," I'm like, by the time you tied a jig on, that jig needs to be tied on before you leave the inlet.
And I always keep a spinner or 2 rigged with just a plain hook.
Exactly.
No weight, no nothing on it. I alwaay keep one ready. A free line type scenario.
Yep.
All you got to do is slap Sometimes it's even a piece of bait. It doesn't even have to be just something to get it in front of them.
Sometimes it's just getting something in the water to turn that fish from leaving before you can get something in the water.
And the other thing I love to do is I love throwing plugs. And we're going to talk a little bit about that when we come back from this next break. So don't go away. Catching Memories coming back with Rodney Sahr and myself, Jim Ross, right after these messages. Products, companies make a bunch of different products.
Yep.
Starbright they got like
crapload,
billions of products that does everything from, they make everything basically but toothpaste, and it's crazy what they make. Mm-hmm. So this week, Robin comes home and her car, is got a little smell to it, a little like a coolant smell, and I'm like, smells like something's leaking, So I pop the hood and poke my head in there like I know what I'm doing. Right. Okay. But I'm looking around to see if I can see a leak or something. Reservoir seems relatively full. It's not low. Didn't take the cap off because she'd just been driving because I didn't need to blow up in my face. But her battery terminals are horrible.
Yep.
They look like they got broccoli growing off of them. There's this green fuzz all over, right? So I'm like, okay, while I got the hood up, let's clean this. And so I go in, I get my baking soda, make a little mixture, and I clean up the terminals and everything and get it all nice and clean, ready to go. And I'm like, okay, I need to put something on here to kind of keep that from happening again. So I go digging around in the garage, and I'm like, hey, Starbright makes they just call it lubricating fluid. It's a lanolin-based kind of a...
Oh, it's lanolin?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's a great product. It works on a bunch of different things, okay? And it's not harsh on... It's not bad for your rubber. Some of the products you spray it on rubber, and it'll actually degrade the rubber. So anyway, it's a lanolin-based product. So I go out there, and I just put a couple of drops on the terminals, and... So kind of bringing the whole thing back around. You don't really think of Starbright as having a product that will do that sort of thing. But here's what else that thing is good for. I use it on my tailgate hinges because truck tailgate hinges in Florida rust.
Yeah.
They just do. So I use it on that. I use it on my pivot points on my outboard motor.
Yep.
Because it's not a harsh product. I use it on my coupler, my ball coupler. I spray it on that so that my ball and coupler are moving and not grinding on one another. I have a pull pin for my swing tongue on my boat trailer, so I use it on that pivot joint. Because it's metal on metal, and it's a great overall product, and it's not something that you would typically think of using. Especially when you're cleaning a battery. But here it is. It's something, once again, that's been developed to solve a lot of the problems that we have, and that's just one of the things that you can use it for. Yeah.
Based lubricant. In fact, I may have you get me some of that, because that stuff, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on this, is actually you can use it on electronics too. So if you have electronics you take on and off the boat, you get, I know.
Like your GPS or your.
You can put it on some of the power cords and whatnot, and that I'm pretty sure I would double check with it, but I remember stuff I used before was
we'll give Danny Beard a call, or maybe we'll have him call in next week and talk about some of the Starbright products. But we'll have Danny call in and we'll find out about that, because he'll know.
Man, that lanolin stuff, man, it leaves such a nice film on it that lasts a lot longer than any other lubricant that I've used.
I really like it because, like I was saying, with the rubber, it doesn't damage rubber.
Yeah.
And there's other products out there, and I'm not going to name them, but there are other products out there that I've used in the past that will actually degrade the rubber.
Yeah.
It'll degrade the rubber on your reel handles. It'll degrade the rubber on your O-rings, and so I spray the lubricating fluid on my power steering. I've got a C-Star power steering on my Yamaha outboard. But it has O-rings that are rubber O-rings that slide on that cylinder. And this is something that you can put on them to keep the salt from building up on it.
It's not petroleum-based.
Right. And it works fantastic for that. And so I just use it for a lot of different things.
Man, and I tell you, I meant to ask
And it's
you
not an
about it
aerosol
before.
can, which is
It's a pump spray.
I
Yeah.
can't. I'm so aggravated with aerosols sometimes because you can feel there's still a quarter can of product
Yeah,
in there,
you're
but it doesn't have any aerosol left, you know? And this is just a squeeze
Well, I like
trigger
that
pump.
too when you have to squeeze because you can get a little sprayer, like a little sample size, and fill it. I like to keep one in the truck, a little sample
Yeah.
size one too. But the other thing too, that I know we're just talking on this now, the orange clean, the wash and wax
Yep.
orange clean,
Yep.
that stuff. I was in a friend's boat the other day, since I'm boatless right now, and he just had some regular wash. I'm thinking to myself, it was actually Mark Whitmire. He had some Orpine, which Orpine is great.
Yeah.
But I was like, I like that orange wash from Starbright better than anything else I've used, especially in the fish box and stuff, because I would wash the whole boat. I'd wash the fish box out, wash the whole boat, and I'd take whatever's left and I'd chuck it into the fish box.
Right.
And I wouldn't rinse it. I just left it in there. And, man, you'd open up the fish box next time, and it smelled good. It's like, man, and it left almost like an oily residue.
Well, it's a wash and wax.
Yeah, and it was just, that was the best wash, hands down, that I've used.
And so whenever you go to clean up the next time, it's that much easier to clean up.
Leaves that on there, and just, that stuff was dynamite, man. Dynamite. And I don't see it too many places.
Well, do you need some of that too? I'll ask Danny if
sure.
we can
I'd like to
get a
some
little
of that,
care package up to you.
because I'm going to wash my truck with it.
Yeah.
So, for sure.
Well, I know we're only supposed to be talking about one product a week, but I'm telling you right now that polymer.
Deck wax?
No, the polymer polish.
Yeah.
The boat polish
On the
with
vehicle?
PTEF in it. Pfft, forget it, dude. My love bugs don't stand a chance this year.
On your truck?
They don't stand a chance.
You better give me a bottle of that, because I've already had my truck like 4 times scrubbing the heck out of it to get them daggone things off.
It's called Starbright's Premium Marine Polish with PTEF, and I'm telling
putting that on the
you,
front?
put a coat on it, and about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, you go back and you put another coat on it. You are good.
Ugh.
I mean,
They
bugs
were bad.
The
once
bugs
already
don't
this
stand
year.
a chance.
They're going to be bad again.
Yeah. So anyway, well, let's move on because we need to talk about some more fishing. We've been talking about Starbright products.
We're
for 20
talking about
minutes.
plug fishing.
Yeah. So topwater plug. So yesterday, we got out on the reef and made a couple of casts. There was a lot of remoras on the reef yesterday.
Really?
Schooled up. They look like puffers schooled up. You know the way puffers run around on the surface in little groups? That's what the remoras were doing. They were doing the same thing. But we didn't get any reaction yesterday to the topwater plugs. I was really surprised.
Really? I was about to ask, because usually if you get the king mackerel fired up,
yeah,
and if you have live bait,
but I was
you
really
start
surprised
chumming,
we didn't get. Now we didn't spend a whole lot of time doing that, but it was one of those things where you know. Hey, let's go check out the phone lines real quick. Hey, welcome to Catch a Memory Outdoors.
Hey, calls?
Yeah, how's it going, Donald? It's Jim Ross.
Oh, Jim, I didn't know you'd be answering the phone.
Yep. Well, our engineer had to run off, and he's trying to get the stream up. The stream is apparently down right now, so we apologize to those of you that aren't being able to get it on the stream. Well, if you're trying to get it on the stream, you don't know you can't hear us, because, but we're on Facebook Live and we're on WWBC 1510 AM. But good morning, Donald. We appreciate you calling in this morning.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, because I'm watching on Facebook.
There we go. There's about a 10-second delay.
There is, because I just saw you push the button.
Yeah.
But anyway, a friend of mine who has been boating with me for many years, because I've had boats forever,
right?
Except for the past couple of years. I had to sell my boat, but he bought a center console, and so this was a couple of weeks ago, and the boat had nothing on it. He needed a fire extinguisher, safety safety flares,
right?
Everything. So I ordered everything for him and had it all delivered to his house. And, we had the maiden voyage yesterday, launched from Anclo River, because I thought that would be a great way to start. Because teaching him how to maneuver boat ramps with currents.
Yes.
Good currents that run through the Anclo River up there. And so showed him how to do the ropes. I said, okay, this is what we need to do, yada, yada. And I hooked him and his son up. We went out. I brought all the fishing rods, all the gear, showed him how to use the but it was a lot of grass. So that didn't work out.
I wish we had that problem.
Yeah, a lot of floating grass.
Yeah, it'd be nice to have some
It
grass.
was great. We caught so many trout that we lost count.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, that was really good. Really good. I was so glad. Because when you take somebody out, especially, a friend or, I feel for you charter captains. I would never, I'll play one, for a friend of mine, but I would never do it professionally because I know what you guys go through because I have so many friends,
Right.
guys and captains. It's like, no way. Let's leave those for the professionals. But it was just so much fun, guiding them, taking them to waters that I fish and that I know of when I had my boats. And I tell you, I was so pleased to see how healthy the trout were, how clean the water was and the grass.
West Coast is.
And I saw a lot of prop scars, running through the flats that we were at. It's like, man, there's no reason to ruin the grass like this. I hate when I see that.
Yeah, people should really run outside of the 3-foot zone and pole or trolling motor in less than that, less than that amount of water. It's one of the things that we were dealing with here a few years ago, especially in the Mosquito Lagoon, and they put in pole and troll areas because of that, because people just weren't, respecting the habitat, and they were just mowing it down and putting, like I say, putting prop cars all through it. So they created zones so that people couldn't run or shouldn't run through those areas, and put them in deep enough water, the boundaries in deep enough water that you are outside of an area where you could potentially create, some kind of destruction to the bottom like that. Hey, Donald, I appreciate you calling, but we're kind of up against our next break. But
Sure,
congratulations
absolutely.
on your maiden voyage out there, and I'm glad you had a great trout bite.
Yeah, it was very cool. All right, you guys take care. Stay safe as always.
Thanks, buddy. We
And I'll see
appreciate
you
it.
next week.
Bye-bye now. Hey, gang, we're going to take our next break. When we come back, we got a whole lot more Catch a Memory with Rodney Sahr and myself, Jim Ross, so don't go away. We're going to be right back after these messages. Rodney, we were talking a little bit about topwater plugs and that sort of thing in the offshore arena. And I've over the years, I've become more and more and more a fan of, throwing lures offshore. Whether it be bonita, jacks, cobia, king mackerel, sharks, even tarpon. You can get a lot of different species to strike a lure. But yesterday was kind of an interesting day. We had a decent king mackerel bite going, but we didn't really have any reactions to the topwaters.
Did you throw any X-Wraps?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I did not. But the other thing that I was normally throwing the chugger, the Williamson chugger.
Yep.
That big jet head is typically. I mean, if there's a fish around, that thing it creates enough commotion that it brings them up.
Yep.
Most of the fish yesterday, they were running surprisingly deep for hitting as good on the surface as they were. Because I don't run any downriggers or anything.
Marking them?
But we were marking them at about 35 feet down on a
I would
70 to 80 foot ridge, on 8A. So that drop goes from 80 up to 70 as you
when
go
they're
from
marking like
west
that on
to east.
8A, I will wear them out on ribbon.
Oh yeah. Well, like I said, we were just had the minnows out there, and they were doing great on those. A little later in the morning, we did have to. I was kind of changing my tactics. I like to throw the boat into neutral and let the baits flutter, and as they start to flutter, they'll either hit it as it's fluttering down, or as soon as you put it back into gear again and start back up.
They're looking at it, and as soon as it moves, they're like,
as soon as it starts to take off again, they hit it. It's kind of like trying to tease a snook. Yep. It's the same kind of a scenario, They're looking and, do I want it? Because the reason I did that is because I saw a couple of fish come up to the short line and kind of look at it or take a swing at it, but not actually commit to it as we got a little later in the morning. And so, my natural instinct is to just, hey, okay, they're coming, they're looking, but they didn't commit. Let's get it a little lower in the water column. So you throw the boat back into neutral, let the baits drop a little bit. I actually learned that a long time ago from Durwood's dad, Eddie Roberts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Captain Eddie, because those guys back in the day, they didn't use bait. They didn't use live baits or even dead baits. They used strips. They'd make mullet strips or bonita belly strips and put them behind a sea witch. Yep. And so they would pull up over the reef. If they were marking fish and they weren't getting bites, they just throw the boat into neutral and count for a 10 or 12 second count, let that thing drop, and then bump it back into gear again. And that sea witch dropping and then getting, you put the boat in gear and it start raising back up and racing towards the surface. He's like, there's some days you do that all day long, and that's how you catch your fish. That's the reaction that they want on that, that's the reaction that you get when
that's
you.
That's why a lot of times and Mark does it even more than I do, Whitmire that I fish with, but we zigzag a lot.
Yeah.
And you zigzag to slow your baits down a little bit too, but also because they'll drop. You'll have one drop when you go to make a turn, the inside bait will drop until it catches back up, and a lot of times you get hit. You gotta be careful that you don't drop too much, because a lot of times you'll get cut off. If you get a little bow in the line, you know that as well as I do. You'll get cut off.
And the problem with ribbon fish is if you're already running them on a downrigger, if you slow down, you'll slow down and you'll catch the bottom.
I run different heads on ribbon fish. A lot of guys like to use jig heads, and I do.
What do you use?
I'll use also. They don't make them. Well, they make them, but I got them custom made. C&H Lures makes a thing called a smoker choker skirt, and it's a rubber floating head. It's not real big. I'm not
like
saying
their
that
little bubbler kind of scenario.
It's like a little cone, but it's like a foam rubber, and it's got a skirt on it. What I'd have make me some custom longer ones. The skirt's a little bit longer for ribbon fish, and I would use those on my running 2 downriggers. I use the deep downrigger. I always use that on because it doesn't sink as much. And I never used a heavy jig head. I really liked using the light jig heads because, to me, I get more action out of the bait when I'm using a lighter jig head. Unless I'm if I'm trolling straight ribbon fish, or I'm trolling one on the shotgun and I'm pulling a little bit faster, I will use the heavier ones.
Yeah.
Because you can pull a ribbon fish a lot faster than a live bait, and they will eat the crap out of them. Fast too.
Oh yeah.
But when you're mixing it up, I like to use a light jig head.
And a lot of guys run ribbon fish on their downriggers, and that's a great place to run them.
Mm-hmm.
One of the best places that I like to run them was right in the prop wash.
Right in the prop wash. Yep.
Because it's got such a long bait that it just, it's got that swimming action to it, and you put it in there in the prop wash, and the turbulence that are coming off the side of the prop, that thing's dancing all over the place. And we caught, when me and Johnny and Timmy were all fishing together in the kingfish circuit, we caught some really big fish right there in the prop wash on the ribbon fish.
Now, do you, when you're fishing a prop wash bait like that, or a larger bait, do you like to take your line and attach it down to the bottom of the boat via release clip?
We'd put a blacks. We had the little suction cup blacks clips.
Yep.
We'd stick it right down low, and that way it's just a straight pull.
Yep.
And we'd set it fairly tight too. Much tighter than you typically would for a king mackerel fishing. Yeah, we'd set it a little tighter because every once in a while, if the bait got directly into the prop wash and wasn't just kind of riding the edge of it, it would keep popping it back out.
I use those
didn't
same
have to.
clips.
Yeah, we
on
didn't
my
want to have to
downriggers.
reset the clip all the time, so we just tensioned up on it.
I use those same clips on my downriggers. I don't use the press pinch ones. I actually like to use regular release clips, but I use rubber bands on all my release clips. I've found that it absorbs the bait wanting to pull harder, and it doesn't release the clip until it's a straight pull from a fish.
Yeah.
So I've always used rubber bands. I use a lot of rubber bands.
Yeah, we did on our downriggers. We used a lot of rubber bands. And it also eliminates a lot of if you take the line and you twist it up 5 or 6 times and then put it in the clip, it eliminates that twist wanting to wrap back around anything else.
Yep.
So just a simple rubber band in place holds, and it gives you the exact amount of line from the clip to your lure, and it doesn't create that twisting sensation.
Exactly.
It's a better overall way to put it into a clip, in my opinion.
I keep a bag of rubber bands in the boat or in my bag all the time. So I always use them for something. So you just go to the craft store, or not craft store, just office supply, and buy a bag of them, and you're good. So I forget what size they are now. I usually just look for
little
with the way they look.
Yeah, the little rubber bands.
Yep, exactly. So, but I definitely like using rubber bands, and I like to do what you're talking about with ribbon fish. I also like to do with Spanish mackerel as well. So right in a prop wash. just looks really good.
Yeah.
Even if you're not getting hit on that, to me, it's like running a teaser. You're bringing fish in, because you may bring a fish in, they see something like that flash, and they're going to come and see what it is. Maybe that's not what, but then they're going to see your other baits. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, definitely big on that. So, but well, man, now I'm ready to go fishing. We started talking all this. I'm ready to go fishing. It's crazy.
Time to get out on the boat, huh?
It's a problem. This is the worst year to not have a boat. I will tell you that, man. This has been the worst year. So it's sitting there looking at it, and it's like,
Well, is there a boat prospect in sight anytime soon?
not
or?
this year, maybe next year.
Okay.
So I gotta, finally have my house is on contract, sell. So and that closing's next month.
Okay.
So it's in a couple of weeks. So that'll be a huge relief. But then I'll probably next year. I tell you what, man. The bay boats. I feel like they just keep making these things bigger and bigger.
Yeah. Now you can get like a 37-foot bay boat,
right?
You know,
before too long, right? Now Pathfinder launched the 27.
Yeah.
And
CV had a 27. Blue Wave has a 28.
Jeez, how big of a?
Like I was saying, pretty soon we're gonna have 37-foot bay boats. You know, I mean, what the heck? Might as well. You can put a Rodan or a Minn Kota on the front of. Mark Holland has got a Rodan on the front of his 32-foot yellowfin.
Yeah.
So what the heck? Make a 900 or a 900-pound thrust.
All right,
trolling motor and put it on a
102-inch
shaft, and you can put it on the front of a Hatteras. What the heck? Everybody needs a trolling motor on their Hatteras, right?
Spot lock, man.
With spot lock, so you can fish the jetty for snook.
That's right. So I know we're going to take a break, and then I got a story about our new Rapala Explode.
Okay.
Turning a very large fish. So I got to report on that since we were talking topwater on the reef.
Very cool, very cool. Well, guess what? We're going to come right back. Rodney Sahr and myself, Jim Ross, are going to be right back after these messages. So don't go away. Catch a memory. He's going to be right back. Engel makes a great bunch of products, and you and I, Rodney, both use their products. I am becoming a really big fan of their little soft-sided cooler. I use it once in a while here and there, but now it's like I've been taking that thing everywhere with me.
Which one do you have?
I've got the backpack, soft-sided backpack model, and you can put your food in one side and your drinks in the other side, or you can pack it both with drinks if you want. And I'm I've become a real fan of that thing.
See, I've got and I hate to relate it to a Yeti, but the one that's like a Yeti hopper, I've got that one. And I use it all the time. And I've been using it lately because, I've kind of started messing around with the smoker that I've got. And I use it to pack, like, the ribs and whatnot. Like, either because the smoker's at my parents' house, I'll bring the meat home in that, or I'll keep the meat when I brine it and season it, put it in there. And, man, it's so handy.
Yeah.
Like, freaking cooler bags are so nice to
I
have.
just freeze a handful of water bottles.
Yeah.
And throw them in there, and it keeps your drinks cold all day long.
Yep.
And it's not being rigid. It will tuck into different places, like in the boat, or in I can stuff it behind the back seat of the truck or whatever I want to do with it. And it's just become really handy. I really like the soft-sided cooler. So, Engel makes tons of products like we were talking about. So if you guys and gals are interested in any of the Engel products, definitely go to engelcoolers.com. And they just make some great stuff. They really do.
All right. So I was teasing a little bit.
You're teasing with the new Rapala Explode.
Yeah, so we came out.
Topwater.
We came out with the Rapala Explode overseas, and we kind of brought it in. I was able to get it in Florida for a few accounts last year. Well, we are launching it in both sizes here in the U.S. So I had the smaller size. I had a couple. You got a couple of pieces too, some early samples, and it is a great little topwater popping lure. I mean, it's a premium lure. It was built for giant trevally. That's what the lure was designed around. So it's like when those big jacks hit the beach, it's going to be dynamite. It's going to be a great bait. But we were out, and this kind of goes back to me talking about always having something ready. We were out on Pelican about a month ago or whatever, and we had just caught a sailfish, a big sailfish, and we're catching a few kingfish here and there, and we see something come up. We see a fin come up, and it was an interesting looking fin. It didn't appear to be very broad. It seemed like it was narrow, and we're thinking this is a billfish, and it would pop up and then it would disappear, and it was pretty good size.
Right.
So all of a sudden we see it again, and I'm like, all right, forget this. So I had a jig tied on for Kobe. I run over, I grab this popper out of my bag, and I quickly put it on real quick, and I see it close enough, and I chuck this thing as hard as I can because it's a pretty good distance away, and we're live baiting, so it's not like we're going to run to it.
Yeah.
And I start popping this thing as hard as I can, and I turn this thing, and I see this fin is coming behind it, and we have a video of it somewhere. I'm freaking out a little bit.
Yeah.
Because this is a very large fish, and it comes up and finally gets in sight. It's the biggest hammerhead I've seen. It was a good 12 foot. It was a big,
really big
hammerhead, but its dorsal fin was like narrow. It wasn't really like, normally a shark fin is pretty,
a little
base
more
of the
triangular.
shark fin on a fish that big is probably a good 1.5 feet, probably.
Yeah.
This thing wasn't even close to that. It almost looked like a swordfish dorsal fin.
Interesting.
But I tell you what, a little popper, this popper's about 6 inches maybe.
Yeah.
And I turned a good 10+ foot fish.
An ocean predator.
Yes.
Yeah.
With that popper. And it was funny, we saw 2 other hammerheads that day, about 6 to 8 footers, good ones too. And I turned a couple other ones with that too. They're such a curious. They're curious.
They're curious. The problem with throwing artificials at hammerheads is they can't ever get it. No. I mean, it's
fun to watch them try.
It is.
I remember one day I was.
I don't understand how they've evolved the way that they have, because they're.
I don't know how they eat a tarpon.
They're very inefficient feeders.
I don't know how they eat a tarpon.
Yeah.
Tarpon's a fast fish. I don't know how they eat it. They're relentless. I know.
Well, they drive them up to the top, and then they get a bite out of them. But it's.
I remember.
It's funny to watch them chase things because they're comical.
Yep. I remember on the beach one day. I'm on the beach. I'm on the front of the boat, looking for pogies. About to throw the net, and a big shrimp pops up right next to the boat. Pops out of the water. They come out of the water. Someone's chasing them. Here's this little hammerhead chasing this shrimp. I swear, that hammerhead probably burnt more calories than that shrimp was trying to catch it. I don't even know if it caught it, but that thing was all over the place. Like you watch some of the videos of people, hooking up the tarpon down in Boca Grande, and those when the hammerheads go after them compared to the bull sharks. Bull sharks normally it's fast, and it's done.
Yeah.
It seems like the hammerheads, it's like
takes a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. They got to wear the tarpon down.
Right.
Speaking of sharks, we were last Friday. Me, Justin, Richard Bradley, we were all fishing in the same area, and a lot of mullet in streams of mullet in this area. And
this is inshore?
This was in the river, and had a shark, big shark, pushing through the mullet and chasing. I saw him once, and then Justin thought he saw him, and then Richard called me maybe 20 minutes later, and he goes, I just had something go through my spread that looked like a big shark. And he had he was using live bait. We were just throwing artificials. And he goes, he swung at him, but he missed both of them. And I was like, well, that's kind of weird. I said, well, I was up kind of where he was drifting through. I was there, 5 minutes earlier on my drift as I was coming through. And I said, I saw what looked like a big shark up there. He said, yeah. He goes, it wasn't a bull red. It was bigger than a redfish. He goes, this thing was probably 6 feet long. And I said, yeah. And it wasn't a tarpon,
Yeah.
I said, no, he said, no, it wasn't a tarpon. I said, no, I saw the dorsal on it. It was a shark. And it was, in 1.5 feet, 2 foot of water. But it was interesting that here we had artificial baits out and cast at it. And it missed. And then Richard had live baits out, and it missed. And it's like, I don't think it was a hammerhead because we're in the lagoon system. But once again, very, very inefficient feeding method.
Yeah, right? This is weird looking, too.
Yeah. I mean, we don't see that many sharks here. It's not like when you go to the Keys and there's sharks everywhere.
No, Matt
we just don't see that many.
You remember Matt Lance?
Yeah, I remember Matt.
Yeah. He had a picture up on Facebook, and it was kids were all playing, in a they're down in the Keys. He's got a house down there.
Right.
And they're on a flat, crystal clear waters, turquoise, sand, and a baby lemon sharks. And he's like, yeah, every one of my kids has now landed a lemon shark on artificial. And there must have been 25, 30 of these lemon sharks cruising in like 2 foot of water on this.
Wow.
It was pretty neat looking. So, but
that's interesting.
yeah, down there, man, it's.
Well, one of the things that not just me, but a lot of people have noticed here in the last year is that as our water quality is getting better in the lagoon systems, and as we're seeing more life return to our inshore waters, some of the things we're seeing are sharks, and we're seeing more sharks, and I think I'm not concerned about that whatsoever. What I'm concerned about is continuing to see a more diversified fishery, more fish coming, more. We had sawfish sightings this year down at Sebastian, Melbourne and Sebastian area. So there's been a couple of different sawfish sightings. There's been shark sightings. I've seen triple tail in the lagoon system, Spanish mackerel, bluefish. Mm-hmm. So those species that historically kind of are a little more out in the ocean or along the beaches, having them come into the lagoon system just lets us know that, hey, we're doing something right. It's getting better. Yeah. We didn't have a bunch of rain, which was good, so we're not running our lawn fertilizers down into the lagoon. We're not running our pesticides, and all of our reclaimed water is not running down into the lagoons. That's obviously going to change a little bit now that we've started to get some rain. Yeah. We will see some increase in the algae and things of that nature, but so far this spring was with the muck dredging that's gone on, and helping, Cocoa Beach right now looks phenomenal. Yeah. In Melbourne, I was driving up US 1 in Melbourne yesterday, and even after all the rain that we had this week, that flat that's right out there in front of the old, where the old Shooters was at, that flat looks phenomenal right now.
Well, we were driving over on the Beeline, driving over, to the port, the girlfriend and I look over, I'm like, daggone, that's the cleanest I've seen the Banana River in years.
I
mean, it's been normally chocolate milk sewer looking.
So,
and you could see the outline of the sand and all that. And I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah. So kudos to all of us. We all get a pat on the back and an attaboy because we're reducing our nitrogen input. Yep. I talk to so many people anymore, and they're just like, I've just quit fertilizing altogether. Yeah. My lawn's still growing. Yep. Grass has grown for millions of years. I don't need to put any fertilizer on it to help it. Because all you got to do is, once you put the fertilizer on it and it starts raining, now you're just mowing more.
Yeah.
Exactly. Unless you just really enjoy mowing, why would you put fertilizer on your grass?
Yeah.
But there's all of us together are creating a better scenario in a better environment for this lagoon, and it's just fantastic to see between all of the county, city, state, but personal, your personal choice. It makes a difference, and that's what I really like.
Yeah, for sure.
So,
yeah, it's definitely nice to see some of that coming up. Maybe some of them sharks from offshore would come into the lagoon and leave us alone offshore, because I'm tired of the sharks offshore. Man.
You tired of the sandbars?
Oh God, they're bad, man. Really bad, really bad.
So, well, it's an imbalance. I was actually talking with Dwayne DeFries, and Dwayne is such a knowledgeable guy. Every time I talk to him, I learn something. But, he was talking about, there's imbalances, and we've created imbalances, and and it's going to take a while to uncreate, to fix those imbalances.
Off the endangered protective list, man. Those things are not. There's too many of them. Way too many of them. And they're smart. So. Definitely a smart fish, but hey, it is what it is, man. Everything's got to eat.
Everything's got to eat.
You can't blame them.
No. Well, I'm looking forward to. It looks like we might have a little bit of wind coming up this coming week, and it may get a little bumpy Monday or Tuesday. So I'm hoping that we can continue running trips, because the fishing's so good right now. Like compared to last week, this week's trout bite, this week's morning trout bite, compared to last week's is 100%. Better.
Nice.
Last week, the morning bite was extremely slow. We were seeing fish. They were following lures. They were following the baits, but they weren't committing. And, this week, yesterday and today with the people I've talked to, and then, of course, the report we got from Justin, trout are back on fire again. And
nice.
There's nothing better than catching something on top water.
Oh, it's so much fun. So much fun.
That's awesome.